So today we're with Alicia Larkin, who is the Regional Vice President at Gartner. Gartner is a large organization that specializes in IT and everything about it. So Alicia, can you tell us a little bit about your role?
Sure. So this is Alicia. I am the regional vice president at Gartner. I run a sales organization in our Northeast sales division, focusing on pre-revenue startups through $250 million software vendors.
That is a sizable client base, I am sure. You must
Yeah,
have a lot of clients in that number when you think about, like, that's a broad spectrum.
we do. Here in the Northeast, we have a few hundred clients.
Oh, wow, that's
Yeah.
fantastic. So Alicia, how did you decide on this role?
Sure. So, I think in terms of my career path and why I chose it, I think that, many times we assume it's a linear thought process, or it's simple in terms of choosing what one wants to do upon graduating from high school or college. And, people think at the age of 18, I need to understand exactly what I want to do and what I want to pursue and stick to that career. And it really is. For me, I feel like it was more about what was important to me and that drew me to this career. And I think about, as I reflect on that, I think my background, I think my skills, and also my goals in life were really how I ended up pursuing a career in sales. And that led me to a career in sales in technology.
You know what's funny is, as a client of Gartner for many years, I have to tell you that there's a lot of value in the partnership with your salesperson at Gartner, and which is different, in my opinion, from other, kind of traditional sales, kind of transactions. But I have met some of my, best friend, greatest friends, allies, whatever you want to call them, through Gartner, who have been, kind of in the sales / account management, arena. So, and I feel like part of that is that your role is distinct, is different, because there's so much that matters in that relationship. There's so much that, you're invested in someone's growth. I think that's really, it's, if you think about it, it's kind of like being a teacher, right? Because you're looking for opportunities for someone to grow as an individual. So
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
an interesting thing. So
Yeah.
so when you think about your role today, what matters to you most about it?
Sure. So I think it's twofold. I think one, when I was talking about my career and why I got into sales, I'll back up a little bit and share that, I got into sales because I was raised by a single mother household where things were always tight financially. And my mom was always working multiple jobs. She really had no one else to rely on. So from an income standpoint, from a young age, I realized being self-reliant was important, but also making a lot of money was very important to me. She had come here from the US from Spain at the age of 18, didn't really know the language, and had and ended up being able to get her bachelor's degree, her master's. She became a teacher. She was a principal. She always juggled multiple jobs. And so, not only did I know income was really important, but also I knew hard work was really important. And that hard work really put you in a position to achieve great things. And so, I think those two things paired together really helped lead me towards sales. And then in terms of technology, I just love the fact that it's an ever-changing world. It's always going to be in demand, but also, to your point, is that, at Gartner, we're partnering with executives of companies. We're helping them drive their goals. We're helping them overcome their challenges. We're helping these companies really make big decisions, as well as individuals in their roles. So executives at companies make better decisions. And so, in my experience, I feel like I've been able to not only tap into something that's really important to me, but it's also been great to be part of a company that's always talking about the cutting edge of technology. And these technologies are things that impact our world every single day.
Yeah, it is. It is definitely a forward-thinking organization. I know from experience that, there were many times in my career where, when you've had to present to a board, or you have to present to executive management, or even when you need an exercise to mature your team, there are a lot of the skills that are within that organization that have helped me to actually, be able to do those things correctly, and be able to kind of shine a new light, or
Yep.
have me think a little bit differently about my approach to an issue or problem, or even just a brand new strategy, something that we really need to just get done.
Right.
So when we think about your career in general,
Mhm.
did you decide to change careers at all during your journey?
So yes, kind of. And so so I joined, I used to be in the mortgage world. And so at some level, I've always been in sales. And so I used to write mortgages. And then I ended up moving over to a smaller supply chain consulting firm, research firm named AMR Research in Boston. And then within 2 years, we were acquired by Gartner. And so that's how I came over to Gartner. And so technically I've been in sales my whole career. It's just what I was selling was a little bit different.
Right, right. I mean, so, it's definitely more of a pro serve, kind of thing
Yes.
with professional services with Gartner, and then with
Mhm.
mortgages, that's a whole other kind of ball of wax there
Right.
to kind of unfold, what I mean, and look through, especially with regulations, et cetera, and everything else
Mhm.
that's out there. So
Yes.
so when we're looking back on, kind of, you've been a mortgage broker, kind of in mortgage sales, you've been in Gartner for technology sales, but what obstacles do you think that you've overcome in your career?
Sure. So when I think about the biggest obstacles, I think that really what since I've been in sales, I've always had the opportunity to work hard and have it pay off. It's why I love sales. And even as a minority female, Hispanic female, I love that I have the ability to also have a bit of a level playing field with my peers, regardless of gender or ethnicity. So that's why I love sales, is that I'm able to, regardless of my background, put in a lot of effort to be able to achieve an outcome. Biggest obstacle that I'd have to say is I really think my mindset has been a big obstacle, and the self doubt that always appears in my head. And so there's something called the imposter syndrome, which is very common in women. And so it's self-doubt in your head that no matter how much you make or where you are in your career or how much you have accomplished, you always feel like a fraud, or that someone's going to find out you're not as great as you seem. And so I feel like, it's a feeling that makes me feel like, although I have, 20 plus people reporting to me now, I have an internal narrative in my head, that I tell myself that I got here perhaps through luck, or there's always that fear that perhaps people are going to realize I'm not as competent as my education or experience or accomplishments might make me seem. And while I know it's a completely irrational thought, it's just something that's very present in me. But I've also come to realize it's very present in a lot of women. It's very female syndrome. And so, why has that been an obstacle in my career? I think I've just never been able to, and I'm working on this, enjoy my accomplishments, I would say, as much as I should. I'm working on being more proud of what I've done. But I feel like I'm always just working on trying to prove that I'm capable and driving success. But it's important to really like stop and smell the roses a bit more and remind myself that I'm capable. And, while I feel like some females might share that their biggest obstacles in their roles have been maybe not getting promoted or getting paid the same as their male counterparts, or even maybe being taken seriously at the table, the proverbial table. What I love about sales is that in my experience, it's been a bit different. For good or for bad, the primary focus is on your performance. And so you
Right,
always know how you're doing. And so,
right.
I knew in my career, the more I achieved, the more, or in my career, in my experience, the more I achieved, the more my career grew. And I've always focused on hard work and accountability and a positive can-do mindset and attitude. And that simple recipe has kind of helped me be consistent at performing, but also build great relationships with my leaders. And so I've always been supported and promoted. But I do think that, despite a successful, 14-year career with Gartner, it's still something in the back of my head that I see as almost like a daily obstacle for me to overcome.
Yeah, I find that women in general, if something goes wrong, we immediately think it's more because of us. When something's successful, we don't believe we really had anything to do with it. That, it's just been one of those things sometimes. I feel as if in my career, I've had a little bit of the same, thing. I think with us, it's also a nice quality to be able to say, you know what, I want to share this. It's a team effort. It's a team that we've done this all together. And I think that sometimes that's something that comes with imposter syndrome sometimes, is that you're just automatically a sharer for, for something that is, successful, which is kind of, so.
Absolutely.
So what would you say to your younger self?
I think one thing is you can do it. My mother, I'll never forget, every college field hockey game, she would be there and she'd be yelling, "You can do it." And it's so simple, but I think it's so important. I think it's go after whatever you want. You might stumble, you might fall, but no matter what, keep going because you can do it. I'd also tell my younger self that everything's going to work out. As a daughter of a single mother who was working multiple jobs and working her tail off to make things happen, I didn't ever think that I'd have the life I have today. I always thought the struggle was normal and would be the norm. And so through my mom's focus on education, getting good grades, always making sure we stayed on the right path, I was able to go to a great college. I received a sports and academic scholarship. I met my husband there. We now have 3 amazing kids. We have a great life of abundance. And so, I would tell my younger self, regardless of where you came from, regardless of your circumstances, is focus on your education, give max effort, have a great attitude, you'll achieve big things and everything's going to work out.
Yeah, I think that that's sound advice to give to yourself. Would you give the same to younger girls today?
Yes. I would say 2 things I've learned that have been really, they transcend time and age, is really, effort and attitude is everything. Focus on working hard in school, focus on giving 100% effort to whatever you do, focus on having a positive and great attitude. Those simple things will differentiate you from 90% of the people in the world. And so, I think that for young girls, especially if you want to get into sales, I think that reach for the stars, continue to be curious about anything and everything, be curious about technology and sales. And this is such a wonderful place to be in time because there's so many free resources. When you think of access to content, there's so much to take in that, instead of scrolling through TikTok or Snapchat, go on YouTube and watch a video that's going to fill your knowledge bucket and think about how you're progressing that knowledge bucket and how you're filling it, because I think you have such access to resources. You want to take advantage of it, especially at such a young age. You're a sponge and you have time to be able to start learning some skill sets. And when I think of even teaching my kids, is I'd love for them to get in technology sales. I think it's there's always going to be demand. It's such a great opportunity. I think there's a lot of life skills that come with being in sales. And there's so many ways that you can start young, starting a small business, dog walking, maybe, becoming a waitress to learn multitasking and people skills. And then, build up that resume that when you go apply for a role, perhaps at a large technology company, you already have a resume, you've had experience, and, pair that with hard work and a great attitude, you'll be able to get a great job that will take off your, you'll be able to be successful and use that same attitude and great effort and hard work in that first job, and your career will take off. So, I think attitude and effort, I think, are the two strongest qualities to have.
I completely agree. I think sometimes, when you're building relationships, it's all about the attitude and the effort, so as you make the effort and have that attitude in those relationships that you will make throughout your professional career, and, in school, etc., you'll understand that, that those connections with those people and those connections with, your self-growth are really critical to the,
Yes.
to your development. They really,
Mhm.
really are. And it starts very young. I think once you start instilling that confidence in them when they're young, everybody has their peaks and valleys with their confidence. But I think when you stay on track and you understand that you can allow yourself to reset and say, okay, I've got to get back in the game. I got to get back in the game. And I think
Mhm.
that's a big part of it, is really kind of working through that confidence and that determination, truly. So
Yes,
kudos
and I'll
to
I'll
you.
share something too about confidence is that I always share this with people, they're shocked, is that I grew up as a painfully shy child. Painfully shy. My sister is 14 months older than me. And so I always used to joke that she was my mouth for the first like 14 years of my life. And so, people are shocked to learn that because I seem, like an outgoing person right now. But that's the other piece, is that regardless of how you grow up, I grew up really shy and I didn't start really gaining confidence until I started playing field hockey in middle school and gaining some success and building that confidence. And I think that, that happens over time. So even if you're, somebody who's younger and you're saying, hey, I just don't have the confidence to get out there, take small steps forward, become part of a team, start to see some success somewhere, build that confidence. You can always change your future. Just
Mhm.
work at it, work hard at it.
We see a lot, the change in careers, the change in direction, changing your mind about something. And we always say that you need to do that because that's part of growth. People sometimes look at it like it's a negative, but it's actually a positive. You can definitely make a change and understand that, I don't, if I'm not in love with my role anymore, it's okay. You can go on and do something else that you want to do. Just make sure that, that you want to do it, and take the chance. The
Yep.
worst thing that can happen is you just decide to do a different chance,
Mhm.
it's different, kind of direction.
Right.
So if your LinkedIn profile was limited to 3 words,
Hmm.
what would it be?
Um, so I'd say proud female leader. So proud is something a feeling I continue to work on having for myself. Female, because I think, first and foremost, I'm a female, and I I love helping other females. I love helping. I always say to my leaders that I work with, I say, send the elevator back down. I love being able to help females. And I'm a leader by role and title in my organization right now, but I also feel that I'm a leader, outside of my role in my job. I think, I'm a leader in terms of my community and my friendships and my family. And so, proud female leader.
Well, I would say that you absolutely personify all 3 of those. So thank you so much. I think it's great that, you brought in the fact about the leadership, because I think you show it in how you talk. I think you show it in how you're trying to just instill this in other salespeople and what they would like to do. I think it's fantastic. Thank you, Alicia, for sharing your story. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.